हाय हेलो वेलकम टू प्रोइंसीज। कैसे हैं आप सब लोग? मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ। आज हम बेनामी ट्रांजैक्शंस प्रोहिबिशन एक्ट के कुछ केसेस देख लेते हैं और इस केसेस में क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, लेट्स ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड। अगर एग्जाम में कुछ ऐसे केसेस आए तो हाउ विल यू टैकल दैट? जैसे एन ऑर्डर ऑफ अटैचमेंट ऑफ बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी was passed against Amrish by adjudicating authority. Agreed by the order of adjudicating authority, Amrish wants to file an appeal. Advise Amrish about the course of action. इस क्वेश्चन से एक बात तो साफ साबित होती है कि अमरीश को सिर्फ एक अपील फाइल करनी है और हमें सिर्फ एडवाइस करना है कि अमरीश को अपील फाइल करने में क्या करना चाहिए। दैट्स इट। बस इतना ही बताना है। वेल, इस केस में आप सेक्शन 46 को रिलाई कर सकते हो। दैट इज द मैनर ऑफ फाइलिंग अपील टू द एपेलेट ट्रिब्यूनल। और यहाँ के सच अपील कैन बी मेड इन द प्रिस्क्राइब फॉर्म विद द प्रिस्क्राइब फीस. Thus, Amrish is advised to file the appeal to the appellate tribunal within 45 days from the date of order to the adjudicating authority. That's so simple. तो simple conclusive answer लिखना है. That is refer section 46. अगर आपको 46 लिखना है तो आप लिख सकते हो. And conclusion is he has to file the appeal within 45 days from the date of order. That's it. So उसे ये अपील 45 days में फाइल करनी. That's it. उसका इतना ही काम था. Okay. Now Ramesh, second question देखते हैं. Ramesh invested 1 lakh in equity shares of some private companies in the name of his wife Reshma out of savings made by him in the last 5 years. ठीक है. However, such savings are not disclosed anywhere in his accounts. Okay. So these savings are not disclosed anywhere in his accounts or income tax returns. So Mr. Ramesh ने 1 lakh rupees in equity shares invest किए some of the private companies in the name of his wife Reshma. ठीक है. And out of his savings made in the last 5 years के हिसाब से, 5 साल की सेविंग के हिसाब से. ठीक है. And that saving is not disclosed. That saving is not disclosed anywhere in the accounts. Whether it's a Benami property, क्या लगता है? Benami होगा. यहाँ पे सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 सबसे रेलिवेंट सेक्शन है. अगर आपने सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 पढ़ा है तो आपको मालूम होगा बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी क्या होती है. Okay, so when you are buying a property and from the undisclosed income and in name of another person, the name of, देखो अपनी वाइफ के नाम पे शेयर्स होल्ड करना कोई गलत काम नहीं है. हर कोई होल्ड कर सकता है. चाइल्ड वाइफ अलाउड है. लेकिन अगर आप अपने वाइफ के नाम पे शेयर होल्ड करते हो और ये इनकम डिस्क्लोज नहीं करते तो यहाँ पे गड़बड़ आ गई. As per the facts given, Ramesh invested 1 lakh in equity shares. आंसर देखो कैसे लिख रहे हैं. As per the facts given, Ramesh invested 1 lakh in equity shares of the private companies in the name of his wife, that is another person, out of the savings made by him in the last 5 years. ये भी ठीक था. However, such savings are not disclosed anywhere in his accounts or income tax returns. बराबर. So hence the investment made from the unknown source, it amounts to Benami transaction. क्योंकि ये इन्वेस्टमेंट अननोन सोर्सेज से हुई है तो ये बेनामी ट्रांजैक्शन. ठीक है. देन सत्या. Satya is a non-resident Indian. He is resident in USA. He gives 50 lakhs rupees to his brother who is resident in India, who invests in mutual funds, equity shares of Indian listed companies in his own name. Oh, catchword. In his own name as a single owner in India with intention to return the gift amount to his brother in USA in future. Oh, so that is another important point. He has the intention that he will return the amount in future. Great. Now, whether the transaction or arrangement amounts to Benami property and what will be your answer if mutual funds and equity shares are held jointly. हमने सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 में पढ़ा कि अगर आप जॉइंटली ओन करके रखते हो तो चलेगा. बट व्हेन यू ओन मोर देन दैट इज अगर आप जॉइंटली ओन नहीं करते और सिंगल पर्सन के नाम पे ओन करते हो तो आपको डिस्क्लोज करना चाहिए व्हाट इज द सोर्स ऑफ इनकम, वेयर हैव यू गॉट दिस प्रॉपर्टी फ्रॉम. So as a result, referring section 2 subsection 9, and if NRI transfers money to his resident brother, yes, who purchases shares of mutual funds in his name and had intention to return the money in the future. ओके. सो देखो आंसर कैसे लिख रहे हैं. हम उसी फैक्ट्स को थर्ड पार्टी की लैंग्वेज में डाल रहे हैं कि इफ द एनआरआई ट्रांसफर्स द मनी टू द रेसिडेंट ब्रदर हु परचेजेस इन शेयर्स इन द म्यूचुअल नेम and had intention to return the money in the future, then it amounts to Benami transactions within the meaning of section 2 subsection 9. Clear? And फिर आगे लिखते हैं however However, any person purchases a property in the name of his brother or sister or lineal ascendant or lineal descendant, where he is one of the joint owners, then it is not a Benami transaction. Okay, as the consideration is paid out of the known sources. So where the consideration is paid out from the known sources, okay, where the consideration has been paid out from the known sources, clear, then it will not amount to be a Benami transaction. So thus in the second case, the shares of mutual funds are held in the joint names of NRI and his resident brother, then it will not amount to a Benami transaction. तो हमने पढ़ा है सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 के अंदर कि अगर कोई पर्सन अपने भाई या बहन या लीनियल असेंडेंट या डिसेंडेंट, बड़े भाई बड़ी बहन, छोटे भाई छोटी बहन के हिसाब से शेयर्स एक्वायर करता है, इट इज डज नॉट अमाउंटिंग टू अ बेनामी ट्रांजैक्शन. ठीक है, क्लियर. यहां पे नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन फोर्थ वाला देखते हैं. Ratnakar, a Karta of HUF, he purchased gold for 2 lakhs in the name of her minor daughter on her 6th birthday. The gold was purchased out of funds held in Axis Bank and the details of this bank account are filed with the income tax authorities. Now, whether the transaction arrangement amounts to Benami? Okay, good question. यहाँ पे refer section 2 subsection 9. As per the facts given, Ratnakar has purchased gold for his minor daughter out of the funds held in Axis account. बराबर. रत्नाकर, हम देखो वही क्वेश्चन को रिपीट करें कि रत्नाकर ने गोल्ड खरीदा है for his minor daughter out of the funds which is held in Axis account. Okay, details of which are available with the income tax authorities. बराबर, details of which are available with the income tax authority. क्वेश्चन से उठाया. Thus, it is an investment out of the known sources. Whatever, it is an investment out of the known sources, and the transaction does not amount to Benami transaction because it is an investment. देखो, acquiring something in the name of a child is allowed in law, provided it is acquired from the known sources. And is this acquired from the known sources? Yes. So, if this investment is from the known sources, this investment is valid in law. Okay. Next one, Raghav Pardesi is in possession of some property which on the paper is in the name of Neeraj Rathod. Okay. On investigation, it was found that Neeraj Rathod does not exist in reality. Neeraj Rathod नाम का कोई person ही नहीं है. Okay. Further, there are evidences which show that the amount are transferred regularly from Raghav Pardesi's account to the fake account of Neeraj Rathod. Okay. Now, whether this transaction amounts to Benami, it speaks for itself. Yes, it is Benami. So you can refer section 2 subsection 9. A transaction which is carried out in the fictitious name is a Benami transaction. Yes or no? A transaction which is carried out in the fictitious name is a Benami transaction. Proper? So as per the facts given, Neeraj Rathod is a fictitious person. Yes or no? He is a fictitious person. Correct? Thus the property in the possession of Raghav Pardesi in the fictitious name of Neeraj Rathod is a Benami. So see how you're writing the answer. You're giving the facts and then you're giving the conclusion. And law, you're citing section 2 subsection 9. So यहाँ पे in the given facts, Neeraj Rathod is a fictitious person and the property is actually in the possession of Raghav Pardesi. And he is transferring the money in the fictitious name of Neeraj Rathod. So is this amounting a Benami property? Yes, it is. Okay. Similarly, question 6. Mrs. X purchased a property in her own name for 25,50,000. Consideration of 5,50,000. पहले तो ये point याद रखना, she has purchased in her own name, अपने नाम पे. Is paid from the amount which is declared in the income tax return, and 20 lakhs is paid in black, not declared in her accounts or ITR. Okay. Whether the property held by Mrs. X is Benami property. Okay, quite good one. Quite good one, I would say. Section 2, subsection right. So you have to refer section 2, subsection 9. See, as per the facts, जो इस question में facts दिए, as per the facts which is given in the question, we are writing the same way. As per the facts given in the question, property is registered in the name of Mrs. X. She is the owner, so it is registered in the name of Mrs. X. And she paid the consideration for acquiring the property. Has she paid the consideration? Yes, she has. So the question of funding from the known sources is irrelevant, as the property is not held in the name of some other person. So one of the important requirement of a Benami transaction is that the property should have been held in the name of another person. But here in the given case, the property is held in the name of a person who is buying the property. So जो पर्सन खुद प्रॉपर्टी खरीदता है वही उसके अंदर होल्ड कर रहा है, कोई और नहीं. तो ये अपने आप में बेनामी कैसे हो रहा है? दैट्स द क्वेश्चन. एंड thus it is not a Benami property. Yes, it is not. However, appropriate action under the Income Tax Act can be taken against Mrs. X as she has not declared her true income for failure to disclose the sources of income from which she has purchased the property. So, we can take suitable action against Mrs. X. Okay, in the Income Tax Act, not in the Benami Act. See, she has not disclosed her income. That is a question of income tax, undisclosed income. But that is not a question of acquiring a property and holding in the name of another person from the undisclosed income. She acquires a property from the undisclosed income, but she holds in her own name. So, ये बेनामी कैसे हुआ? That falls in exception. Remember, if you remember the exception which we have discussed, that falls in exception to section 2, subsection. Okay. Then, 7th question. Mr. Nitin Kumar Gupta is the director of Hi-Fi Limited. Yes. And the company purchased some property in the name of Mr. Nitin Kumar Gupta. Okay. And paid the consideration for the property. Okay. State with reason whether this transaction amounts to Benami. Is this a Benami? Company holding a property in the name of a director. जहाँ तक मुझे याद आता है, if a property is acquired in the name of a fiduciary person holding a fiduciary capacity, this does not amount to a Benami transaction, correct? So if you can refer section 2 subsection 9, where a property, the way we write it down, where the property is held by a person in a fiduciary capacity. See, where the property is held by a person in a fiduciary for the benefit of another person towards whom he stands in that capacity. So it is for the benefit of another person. मतलब एक person, एक trustee is holding a property for another person. Okay. So यहाँ पे when you hold a property in a fiduciary capacity for the benefits of the another person, towards whom that is towards that. So in simple words, एक डायरेक्टर के लिए अगर प्रॉपर्टी होल्ड की है ताकि डायरेक्टर एक अच्छे घर में रहे, कंपनी का बड़ा डायरेक्टर है, तो that kind of acquisition is a proper. Okay, आगे लिखते हैं आंसर में, towards he stands in the capacity, the transaction or the arrangement will not be a Benami transaction. The transaction or the arrangement will not be a Benami. Thus, the property which is held by a trustee, executor, partner or a director. अब आप उसको एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हो, जस्टिफाई कर रहे हो. Thus, the property held by a trustee, executor, partner, director, depository participant for the benefit of another is not a Benami as they are holding in fiduciary. So if I hold, if my NSDL and CDSL is holding shares for me, that is not a Benami transaction. How can that be Benami? वो Benami हो ही नहीं सकता because that's depository holding shares in the demat capacity. Clear? चलो. This was December 2020 का question which was asked. Let's see that. So last one is an individual by a transaction purchased a house in the name of his wife. That's fine. Consideration of the transaction was paid by A out of his own sources. That's equally fine. Government seized the house claiming it to be a Benami. 1 minute. He is buying a house in the name of his wife, third party. Okay, fine. And the consideration is paid from the known sources, that is own sources. And the government is claiming that this property is Benami. Whether the action of the government is justified, I doubt it, seriously doubt it. एंड ये 3 मार्क्स के लिए दिसंबर 2020 में पूछा. यहाँ पे हम सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 का देखो कैसे आंसर में रेफरेंस देख के फिर इसको फ्री. आपने जगह जगह सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 देखा एंड स्टूडेंट्स ऑफन आंसर ये लिखना क्या है, यू हैव टू राइट द रेलेवेंट पार्ट. देखो इस आंसर में देखो सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 9 ऑफ द बेनामी ट्रांजैक्शंस प्रोहिबिशन एक्ट 1988 excludes any transaction or arrangement of the property by any person being an individual in the name of his spouse or in the name of any of the child of such individual, and the consideration for such property has been paid or paid out of the known sources of the individual, from the known sources of the individual. In the given case, A is an individual by a transaction purchased a house in the name of his wife, okay, as per the given case. Consideration of the transaction was paid by A out of his own sources. Clear? That is also clear. Thereby it is excluded from the definition of Benami. It is absolutely excluded from the definition. Therefore, The action of the government by seizing the house, claiming it to be Benami, is not at all justified. So see how you put up the answer, see how you present your answer. You give the law, you give the relevant part of the facts, you explain, you analyze the facts. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए just repetition of the facts. You show the examiner that you are analyzing the fact. You're giving some sort of legal opinion. तो आप देखो लॉ में ऐसा लिखा है, आपने समझाया, फिर हमने फैक्ट्स को एनालाइज किया और फिर हमने बताया कि ये बेनामी इस वजह से नहीं है. Okay, so this way you will be answering your questions in the examinations. All the best for your exams and do it well. We will meet again. Bye bye.